Hey guys, this is Mauisnake, and today I'm going to be bringing you a video that is very close to me. As you may have heard, the AZIO Esports roster has mutinied, and now 1Voltage is in control of it. The roster is now 1Voltage, Grim, Snakes, Infinite, and Frosty K. And if you guys were unaware, I played the first two seasons for AZIO Esports in the Mountain Dew League, and let me tell you this was a very predictable move. AZIO, the organization, doesn't actually know how close they were to being mutinied, several times actually. So let's just start from the beginning though. So let's start with how I got on. Basically, I tried out for AZIO. Tryhard actually DM'd me on the ESCA forums and asked me to try out for them. I aced the tryout. I played against Torqued, and sorry Whitmer, but I actually owned you that game. One of the games we played against you guys. In fact, I think James IRL got kind of mad or something. I think he was coaching them, and or Steele might have been getting mad because I just was kind of wiling out with the op a lot. I was playing really aggressive with it, and Whitmer, I just picked you, I think, 3 times down mid on Inferno. You were holding from T steps. I was just peeking down mid with the op, and I out-dueled you quite a few times. And moving on from that, though, once I nailed the tryout, I was given the pitch. And so this starts where with Tryhard. And Tryhard gave me the pitch. He told me about what this team was going to be. He talked about how they were going to have a team house, that there were going to be Origin PCs, that there were going to be gaming chairs, that all we would have to do when we went to this house and flew out to Oklahoma City was that we would do nothing but play Counter-Strike. That's all we had to focus on. And that would basically be every gamer's dream. And that's how I thought it would be. So they flew us out, and they flew out me, Jax, me, Jax, and Sezi were at the house. And Jax Z, Sezi, also known as Seziwana, 3 of us were living in the house, and it was really nothing that we imagined it would be. There were no desks, no chairs, only beds, and really nothing else in that house. It did have a lot of space, to its credit. It had 3 bedrooms, and but was kind of in a random suburban neighborhood, so we really couldn't get around very easily. And it forced us to play in a LAN cafe nearby. So we had to play in the local LAN center, as they had computers, and we would go there every day for practice. It opened up, I think, around 10 a.m. or so, and closed around 8 p.m. It was actually doubled as an arcade and also a pinball place. There were a lot of pinball machines. It was actually a pretty neat place, and it was called Cactus Jack's, if you ever are in the Oklahoma City area and want to pay tribute. So we went there, and we practiced, and the season wasn't going so well. So started out with Tryhard having a 0.4 FPR for the beginning of the season, and I'm pretty sure many people were talking about this. For those of you that aren't as familiar, a 0.4 FPR in Counter-Strike means you are getting less than 1 frag per 2 rounds. In fact, pretty much on average takes him 3 rounds to get a single frag. And he ended the season with a minus 103 kill death ratio, which actually was the worst, pretty sure that was the worst kill death in MDL history. Most players, if they have a bad KD or a bad FPR, they're simply kicked from the team. So some people had actually worse kill death ratios than Tryhard by their short-lived MDL performance, but not a single player, and I look back on the HLTV records, not a single player had a worse kill minus death number than Tryhard. So we went through the season 0-5, and we knew something had to change. So Sezi, me, and Jax went to the team house, and we talked to Tryhard about his performance. And Tryhard not only denied and deflected any possible responsibility for the team's poor performance, but he actually went as far to threaten one of our players. He threatened Jax. And Tryhard is about 6'2", 6'3", and I think he's 32 years old. Jax, on the other hand, was 21, I think, and he's about 5'3", 5'4", maybe. And so so Tryhard basically has a foot over him, And Tryhard told Jax, and I wrote the quote down after it happened. I began taking notes pretty early on because a lot of fishy things were happening pretty early, and I felt like it could come back later, and it seems like it did. So, quote, Tryhard said that if he keeps going behind his back, he will knock him the fuck out. And this is a guy that's 10 years older than the other person and also a foot taller. So this is what actually caused Jax to leave the team. Jax did not feel comfortable in the house, and I even told Jax, I said, hey, we're finally starting to get our footing. I'd really want you to keep playing. I think a few players wanted Jax to keep playing, but Jax, and I think anyone would have done this, if someone threatens you physically, you're going to leave. You're not going to want to be in the same vicinity as him. Tryhard even threatened me as well. He threatened me and, quote, said he could, quote, fuck me and not pay for my flight home. So a lot of people might be wondering, why? I mean, how could I perhaps be so ungrateful for my situation? I'm playing in a team house. I'm getting to play Counter-Strike professionally and maybe not have to think about anything. That's really not the case. That was never the case. That wasn't the case for anyone. And there's always something more to it. And it even came to the point where, I mean, we had to do a lot more than just play Counter-Strike, really. It wasn't just playing at all. Since the house needed to be built, people had to build it. And the AZIO budget, or maybe how Tryhard managed it, wasn't in a position where they can just put desks up. So we had to help build the chairs, build the desks. I know Sezi had to help build all the gaming chairs and had to do a lot of the work for this team. And we had to drive like 5 hours to Kansas City to pick up computers. And so eventually we did get computers. They were nowhere near Origin computer specs. They were computers from Novastar Land Center in Kansas City. And we just picked those up and used those for a little bit. And yeah, so the season didn't go very well. We went 6-10. And then there was my flight home. And I was promised a flight home, but I didn't have a contract. So I didn't really have a lawyer. So I went to the next best person to try to get me a flight home, which was my mom. I tried asking Tryhard multiple times for a flight, and he wouldn't fly me home. And Dave, apparently, Tryhard confided with Sezi, who then told me that Tryhard was scared of me leaving because he thought that if I left the house, I would never come back. And, I mean, turns out the second time around that was true. But, yeah, I just wanted to go home because I was told I could go home. So my mom actually had to call Tryhard and tell him that essentially she knows where the AZIO headquarters are in America and that she could go to them and talk about why it is that her son isn't being flown home despite playing on a team for their company and being told he could fly home. So eventually I got home, and then it was the offseason. And a couple player shifts happened. We picked up Shank and One West in the middle of the season after Brock and Jax both stepped down. And as the offseason progressed, we didn't really have any solid goals. We were just kind of playing. And we lost a qualifier. I don't even remember what qualifier it really was. And it was against an intermediate team. And we didn't play exceptionally well. It was on Mirage. It was a best of one. And I think we lost 16-12 or something. And at the end of it all, I figured this was another good time to bring up the fact that, I mean, there's no way we should be losing to a team like this. We didn't perform as well as all of us could have, but Tryhard still bottom fragged against an intermediate team. He deflected once again, said that it couldn't have been his fault. And basically, this is when one of the more serious mutiny attempts happened. I basically put my foot down to my teammates and said that there's no way I'm going to keep playing like this. And so basically everyone was on board with it. And we gave Tryhard a couple days, or we gave him a day, told him what was up, and then took him some convincing, but eventually he gave in and did say that he would step down. We had to find a new fifth. So that's when we picked up Nyquil for the season 2 of AZIO Esports in MDL. And yeah, that was pretty long-winded, and he also kicked our coach, even though we all liked Meech at the time, and he just used that to deflect. And I think that was just kind of a bit of a power trip that he went on, just kicking Meech in that case. So season 2 was going to begin, and finally we were going to get contracts. And so we get the contract for the first time, and it's was pretty much one of the most egregiously written contracts I've ever seen in my life. There were so many vague wordings of things, and this is a statement, though, just to everyone in the scene. A team house may sound great, may sound like you're going to get everything you want, but what happens is when you're in a team house, you're trapped, and if you don't have the backing of a legitimate and stable and tested org that other players can talk about, I would highly suggest not doing it unless the contract is foolproof, bulletproof, just squeaky clean. Because what happened is that we signed this contract that gave us a few benefits. Gave us flights out there, gave us a salary that was supposed to be paid by a certain day every month. It was supposed to give us gym memberships, and it had a couple benefits on top of that as well. But there were a couple things in there that were very vague and basically allowed AZIO and Tryhard to just deem anything they want at any given time and not pay out. And that's what happened. We weren't paid for... We won an online qualifier. We were supposed to win $1,500. We never saw that money. That disappeared. That was the Road to DreamHack Austin, sponsored, I think, by Sirius, and it was on the Civo client. And then we also came in third, fourth at Tokyo and Tulsa, and we didn't receive the money for that. And when Shank confronted Tryhard about why it was we didn't receive the money for some of these things, he said it's because we didn't keep the house clean. And this team house wasn't that messy. It was kind of it's 5 guys in a house, so it's going to be like a frat house per se. And I've lived in messier situations in college, having common living spaces with a lot of people. Things are going to get messy. And to Tryhard's credit, actually, one day he did come over at 9 a.m. and woke everyone up just yelling, "Hey, wake up, wake up." And he actually forced us to clean that day because he just didn't like how things were looking. I mean, it was playable situations. We weren't upset with it, but he wanted it to be cleaner. So he did help. He did make us clean one time. So we cleaned several times. It became kind of a habit that we would clean eventually. And when we left the house, we made sure to clean quite a bit. And so for him, after the season's over, to withhold money from us that we won at an event, I think that just goes down the list of things that potentially, all of these things point at Tryhard being kind of a weird kind of esports director when he withholds funds from you, because I don't know where he's putting that. I don't think he's giving it back to AZIO. So, you can only assume where it's going. So, other thing was the gym membership. I wanted a gym membership. Figured that wouldn't be too expensive. The gym membership I last paid for was $36 a month, well within a company like AZIO Esports' budget. In fact, we knew the budget from AZIO Esports, and that was definitely within their budget. And yet, another series of events happened where just kind of we never got it. We walked to the local gym. Tryhard Jordan thought it was a good gym that we could go to. So apparently he approved of it there, and he wanted to meet with the owner to see if he could get a group rate for us to make it cheaper. The gym told him that he had to meet the owner of the gym around 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on a certain Monday, and so I kind of tell him, hey, night before, remember, go to the gym. And the next day he texts me around, 2-3 p.m. saying, oh, the guy wasn't there. And Jordan has a pretty consistent habit of waking up pretty late. So I don't really know if it was the guy not being there or Jordan just not waking up. But that was just another thing too. So on top of that, we weren't paid for our last month. And you kind of just cut people from the roster at the very last minute. And we just kind of ceased all functions as a team. So I think that he could skip out on paying that as well. All in all, though, I think this covers quite a bit. There's no way that a person like Tryhard should really be in this industry. He really took advantage of kids, those being Brock and Snakes in particular, if we want to get specific. 17-year-old Brock, 16-year-old Snakes, just kicked Snakes out of the team house. And Brock, didn't pay him for things, and consistently talked behind his back about things. And there's just no way it feels like in my heart that a player like this or a person like this should be managing kids and be the person that kids need to talk to in order to try to get something out of. a lot of things he did rub me the wrong way, and I just wanted to. I mean, there's two sides to a coin in a lot of situations. I just wanted to give maybe a third side to that coin. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's been a lot that's gone on. There's even more details than this might come out with in the future, but these are the majority, the bulk of my notes. Yeah, so really hopeful for this upcoming AZIO team though, or the new team, with the Snakes, Infinite, Frosty K, Grim, Voltage roster. I really like what they've done. Great stuff. 6-1 in MDL, probably making Pro League, honestly, and made it ECS. Those are no easy feats. So hopefully they keep on trucking, and yeah, I just wanted to give my experience here. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Peace out. You won't catch me wearing this jersey again anytime soon. Later.